Hello, how are you doing? Thanks for joining me again. Just a little video because, as I said before Christmas, I need to just do a few little ones to try and boost the watch hours, and then I'll be able to do a big video again, going out and doing something really fun. But what I thought I would do today is just talk a little bit about the importance of doing something different. Now, I'm a street photographer, a portrait photographer, a documentary photographer. The one thing I'm definitely not is a wildlife photographer, and so I think I should force myself to do a bit of wildlife photography because that will help me in my other work. So I'm here in the woods because there are parakeets in these woods, which is kind of unusual for the north of England. There's some story about Jimi Hendrix releasing some, or them escaping from a zoo, all sorts of stories about why they're here, but they are here, and I see them all the time up in the trees. But they are really hard to photograph because they are tiny, they move fast, there's a lot of background that they get lost in. But in the middle of the winter, there's less background. I can hear them. I don't know if you can hear them. They are there. I've got my longest lens, a 200mm lens on here. Sadly, the autofocus on this is not great. I'm going to have to go manual focus, which is going to be a problem. But I'm hoping that I will get one good shot. And that's something else that I wanted to talk about, which is the importance of the one great shot. When I was starting out, I was really misled, I think, by people telling me the difference between an amateur photographer and a professional photographer was that an amateur could get one great shot and a professional could get great shots all the time. Now, that's just not true. No professional gets great shots all the time. Their shots are of a standard that is high enough to maintain their business, and that's what it needs to be. Otherwise, they couldn't operate as professionals. So let us see if we can get one great shot today, and I will take you through it all the way from the shooting through the processing to the finished product, because I know that usually I tend to just show me taking the shot and then the final product, so you don't get to see what's in between, and that can make a big difference when you're taking that one great shot. So let's crack on. Maybe this way. They're there in the tree. And so 1/500th of a second, f6.3 at the full 200, and I managed to get one shot before they all flew away. And yeah, it's not the best shot, but I used a radial gradient to bring out the detail around the parrots, because two of them were lost very much in the darkness of the trunk. It would have been really nice to have had a slightly longer lens, and I would have got it even sharper, as you can see when you zoom in here, if I had been able to use the autofocus. And an image stabilized lens as well would be great, but this is an old lens, as I've mentioned on previous videos. I'm making do with what I've got, and it's still pretty good, especially when it's reduced down to the size at which you'll see it in the slideshow. I used the select object tool to select each parakeet in turn and bring out as much detail in those as I could, and intensify the colour slightly of those birds as well, so that they would stand out against the tree. Then when I got it into Photoshop itself and out of Camera Raw, I did a little bit more tweaking of the curves and just everything that I could do to make those birds pop out a little bit without actually changing reality and doing anything to generate anything that wasn't there. I cropped the image as well down to the sort of size that I would have liked to have had a lens to reach. If I'd had a 400mm lens, that is the shot I would have gone for initially, but I was limited to the 200. So you can see with that crop there, and when it's reduced down to the size, it's actually not a bad picture, just a little bit of dodging and burning to get the final results. And hey presto, my main photograph, the one photograph that I should be going for rather than trying to get lots of good photos. But as I was around, I did take a few more photos while I was there, and they're probably more interesting. I think the one of the squirrel is actually the nicest picture. That little jumping motion I think really is sweet, and it's a really nice thing to have got. So there we go, a walk in the forest and a great picture of a bird feeder. But I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope it's inspired you to go out and try something out of your comfort zone, out of what you usually do. That was certainly well out of mine. There are definitely transferable skills between street and wildlife photography, but I think street is my forte. Wildlife, I'm not sure I've got the patience for it, and I certainly don't have the kit for it. This lens really struggled, this camera really struggled. It must be incredibly expensive being a wildlife photographer, even more expensive than it is for the rest of us. And I just don't know how people manage in the days of film only, because to get one shot in a 36 exposure roll, I would be, you know, bowing down, because it's so difficult. But there you go. I will hopefully be back with something more attuned to my usual skills, back out on the street, hopefully doing a bit of travel, and will join you for that as soon as I can get it done. And it will help me get it done if you would please like, share, subscribe. I really do need that to be able to continue. But hopefully the watch hours will have increased a little bit if you've watched to this stage of the video. Enjoy what you're shooting. Take care of yourselves until we meet again. Bye for now.